So definitely, one thing that I learned is that you should always be the representation that you want to see from others. That is one of the reasons why I advocate and champion for diversity. Right now, I do that. I consult for a company to make sure that their diversity initiatives are actually in alignment and empathetic towards the people and communities that they're going to impact. So I feel like one thing that's really important about that too is even beyond Scholastic Esports treating that as if it were a job opportunity, because I noticed that a lot of people do get kind of guilted into doing that type of consultation for free when it's actually a paid role. And another thing too is to kind of get companies to stop hiring people just to fill those roles specifically because they're a minority figure. They could actually do a lot of things in other positions too. And once again, we don't like to be pigeonholed. We don't like to be the woman only or the only Black person or the only person of Native ancestry doing this. Like, we don't want to be the only person all the time.
Yeah, I know absolutely, and I think uh, like you hit the nail on the head. I think that's one of the main things right now when people are saying like, oh well, we're trying right now and diversity and inclusion. It's not necessarily working. Like, what are we doing wrong here? And I think that sometimes for some people, what they're not recognizing is the way they're going about it. It's the execution. When I see it time and time again in a slew of companies, in esports, outside esports, whatever it may be, where they see it and it just becomes this quota. You take that one person like, oh, that person's good, they should be okay, right? And they don't realize that hurts so much, right? That whole hurts the whole system because what happens is two pronged. You have a person who is not equipped to be in the place that they're supposed to be in, right? If you're just picking them outside of that, right? And like on the sole idea of them being that fitting that token, like having checking off that box, right? And then you get this idea of animosity by their peers because they're like, oh, why is this person here, right? And then this person at the same time, it makes them feel incompetent because they probably shouldn't have been in that role, right? And it's like people need to be like there are people out there who are talented, who are skilled, they need the opportunity, right? It's not like we're like people are sitting there and just like,
Exactly.
oh, they don't know what they're doing, right? And so when people can do that and they do it in a proper manner, like it's not this mystical, what is we have to do about diversity inclusion, right? A lot of times they feel like it has to be this additive, right? Yes, this addition. It's like no, you just the general system that we use, we have to open that up, right? Like you, like Anne was saying, we need like we need. She's just not looking for just women. It's that she's also going to talk to women who are talented. And if they're talented in that role and all those things, like boom, there you go. Right? It's not, oh, there's a woman. Good. Hey, you come here. Do you know what gaming is? Oh, I don't know. Like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. Like,
Hmm.
and it's like ridiculous because that goes ahead and then it reinforces these stupid stereotypes and this like these skewed representations that people have in the first place, right? And so in an attempt to add to diversity and inclusion, you're actually derailing it in a great level at a great level, and that's something that we need to have some change in. So
Yeah,
yeah, like, man, absolutely right.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like the key word there is opportunity. Is that's the way to encourage it? Is you have opportunities for people, and then I think too much is happening in society in the direction that you said about like people just trying to fill a hole or whatever. I think you saw was it the Academy Awards or something announced that in a couple of years that they're going to only allow certain movies to qualify for Best Picture if they have like a certain amount of diversity in the picture, like regardless of what it has to do with or something like that. I'm not sure the exact details on that, but yeah, it's just this. It seems like a lack of understanding of the people trying to create diversity. And I guess the good intention is there, but it's not only does it lack understanding, but it seems kind of lazy. It's like let's just put these people there because we want it. And a lot of times when you have like bigger organizations and companies doing this, it's not even their own care about the diversity. They care about the public perception and how that's going to affect them, how they're going to be seen based on what diversity they have or don't have, which really goes again to where it really shouldn't be that way, and it should just be more focused on the opportunity that anybody who is still properly qualified, but they can be any kind of race, gender, etc., and they can get into it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, another point to add too, like you're saying, like it needs to be this thing where it's not. like again, there's going to be some of us who are there to like, and I'm talking as a black man, like that. We want to talk with people. We want to help. If they have questions, I have some people who come to me like, "Hey, man, like, how do we go about this? How can I be better in this way? Maybe if am I not accounting for other people or whatever like that, and we can talk about that and we can help in that capacity, right? But at a certain level, at a certain scale, this needs to be understood. Like, this is a job. This is not the oh, well, you know what? I mean, don't you want your people to do well? So you should just do it for free, right? No, like this is something that systemically will improve the entire system, right? They've done loads of studies. Like we understand that having diversity and inclusion up levels a company all around, not just in esports. It up levels, right? It brings in different paradigms with people who have these, they have this intellect, but it's just again, they have different paradigms because they grew up in different spaces, and because of that, there's things to take from one another and learn and grow, right? And you just have new ideas. The mind stretches, right? When people have to accommodate that as well and share different ideas, right? So it's a very powerful thing, and it's something that has allowed growth, right, and allowed opportunity. Even now we look at our modern world, it's about that kind of that globalization, being able that sharing of ideas and cultures and how to elevate that and become better. And that's how it needs to be seen, not just like, oh, let's pick this person, like let me pick Timmy up so they can be in a place now, right? And that's so they can be taken care of. So, I don't get slack from them. Like, no, this makes the system better. This makes everything better. And as thus, if someone makes a system better, you would pay for that because that's a valued service. That's something that's important, right? And so, like again, even that we need to have a paradigm shift of what that is. It's not just oh, let's save these little people. Like, no, this is also making you better and them better, right? And so we need to look at it in that kind of capacity as well. So again, great point.
Wonder how much of it is, kind of connecting the dots on some of it. I wonder how much of it is some of the kind of the forced diversity that isn't like really organic, that you're kind of mentioning as problematic, might also come from some of the perverse incentive systems that are driving a lot of these programs. They gotta answer the sponsors. It's the marketing, right? So maybe on some level, some of it is has its roots back to the the capitalist system, but we all live under. Not to get too far out there into lefty theory, but one of the things that Mark from UCI had suggested that that I thought might be a good policy, but maybe kind of seems to run contrary to it on some level, is mandating that schools have equal scholarships available to men and women. Is that something that's I guess in that vein of that problematic forced diversity, or is that something that we want to encourage because it's an equity mechanism that might help solve some of the issue because it creates opportunity and therefore more incentive?
So I think that that's a very good approach because it's not quite like it doesn't have the same limiting factors as if we were to do things like women only teams or women only tournaments. It's still inclusionary. It's looking at it from a different perspective. It's looking at the half and half. I think that that's a great approach. I do think that there needs to be an incentive for women to want to participate. That might be the way that they're going about it. But coming from the grassroots space, I don't have enough data. Like, I don't have enough historical data to say that that's going to work for my community, because I know where I'm from is this is the university where nobody wants to attend. And our esports was looking great. So I know that if the administration actually wanted to invest in it and consider becoming one of the major players, they could outdo a lot of the universities in our region and do the same thing that other schools have done to uplift their programs and make themselves known for something, just like the other schools around them that were popular for other reasons. Now they're known for their esports program. So I really do feel like York could take it there, but it's kind of too early to say because I'm in Canada. So the type of investment into scholarship funding it's nowhere near the level of American schools. I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. It's still kind of immature because even for a large school like mine with a population of 60,000 students, we had to revive our club very late, like 2017-ish. So that was just students completely running it, and it's still students completely running it. Like maybe now we have athletics on board, but it's definitely way too early for me to say if something like that would work in my region.
Mm.
But I think in the States where there's already mature programs that are developed, it could definitely work.
Well, I've been breathing fire.